supposedly, somewhere in these mountains, you're supposed to be able to see the old man of the mountain's brother, but I don't see it. I don't see it anywhere. Hilariously enough, I was just looking in the wrong direction. But today, we're out on a mission to find both the man in the mountain and his younger brother in the mountain as well. We are first starting out in Lincoln, New Hampshire at the Indian Head Hotel. Long ago, Chief Pemnegosset of the Abenaki tribe would use the top of this mountain to keep a lookout and bask in the absolute beauty of the White Mountain Range that the Abenaki famously inhabited. In the early 1900s, a forest fire on Mount Pemdegosset would severely burn the south side of the mountain, exposing the hard granite beneath the lush forest. In a wild twist of fate, the exposed rock bore a striking resemblance to the chief who had loved the mountain so dearly decades prior. In Lincoln, Mount Pemdegosset's unique geological portraiture was dubbed Indian Head. It helped that the remaining tree lines sort of created a mohawk for the face. The Indian Head Resort, which lies right across the street from Mount Pemdegosset, offers the best views of the profile from its custom-built fire tower. But this is definitely a rock formation that you're able to see from the side of the road while driving by. So after finding the brother at Indian Head, we decided to go off to find the old man of the mountain, also called the Great Stone Face and the Profile, which was a series of 5 granite cliff ledges on Cannon Mountain in Franconia, New Hampshire. The old man of the mountain is called Stone Face by the Abenaki and is a symbol within their culture. It is also a symbol to the Mohawk people. The first written mention of the old man was in 1805. He became a landmark and a cultural icon for the state of New Hampshire. Sadly, he collapsed on May 3rd of 2003. After its collapse, the residents considered replacing it with a replica, but the idea was ultimately rejected. It remains a visual icon on the state's license plates and in other places. Believe it or not, I have fond memories as a child of going to see the man in the mountain, and I'm glad that I did, because now, unfortunately, it's a thing of the past. There is, however, a little park and memorial to him where you can still see what remains, as well as looking back at the history of the old man in the mountain. Ultimately, what did him in was freezing and thawing of open fissures in the old man's forehead. By 1920, the crack was wide enough to be mended with chains, and in 1957, the state legislature passed a $25,000 appropriation for a more elaborate weatherproofing, using 20 tons of fast-drying cement, plastic covering and steel rods, and turnbuckles, plus a concrete gutter to divert runoff from above. A team from the State Highway and Parks divisions maintained the patchwork each summer. Nevertheless, the formation collapsed to the ground between midnight and 2 a.m. on May 3, 2003. Dismay over the collapse was so great that people visited to pay tribute, with some leaving flowers. On the first anniversary of the collapse, in May of 2004, the Old Man of the Mountain Legacy Fund began operating a coin-operated viewfinders near the base of the cliff. When looking up through them at the cliff of Canyon Mountain, you can see a before and after of how the Old Man of the Mountain used to appear. 7 years after the collapse on June 24, 2010, the foundation, which would then be referred to as the Friends of the Old Man of the Mountain, broke ground for the first phase of the state-sanctioned Old Man of the Mountain Memorial on a walkway along Profile Lake below Canyon Cliff. It consists of viewing platforms with steel profilers, which when aligned with the canyon cliff above create what the profile looked like above the cliff overlooking Franconia Notch. In 2013, the board called for a halt to further fundraising. They announced their intention to spend what was left on minor improvements and dissolve the board. The memorial would be completed on September 2020.
So this is where the man in the mountain used to be before his face fell off. That's where he used to be.
This is definitely a beloved piece of history that will be missed, but I'm glad we got to see what remains today.